PDF document that I've built with a listing of things that you can do if you're in the healthcare industry, if you're a senior citizen, if you're a regular old citizen, if you're in the media, of things you can do to be a part of the 160 challenge. Do one thing. That's all I'm asking you to do, is do one thing. Imagine what our school...
160 challenge.
Yes, 160 challenge. Do one thing. 60 days. And I just want people to share it. We need to do a better job about bragging about the good things that we're doing. Period. Right. There's nothing, I mean, we know how to show up when things aren't right, but let's start bragging about what we're doing right, what we're actually doing right. So I just think that we need to do more of that. Because again, there's people out here doing amazing things for our schools, but we don't know. Because that's not what we talk about. Yeah. We talk about how they're broken down. We know that, how the infrastructure is bad, but we just want people to show up. So do one thing. That's what I'm asking.
Dang, that's awesome. That is awesome and amazing.
Or put a yard sign in your yard if you want to.
Oh.
Yes, put a yard sign. Get a yard sign and tell folks.
How would they get a yard sign?
So you can hit me up you can email me at JackieGlass4, F-O-R, 4nps@gmail.com. You can get me on social media. Like I said, go to the website, JackieFORNPS.com, and message us and say, hey, I'd love to get a yard sign. We'll put it out there. I'll be getting yard signs on Thursday.
Awesome.
Yay!
Okay. Let's see. Who were your influences growing up?
So probably my biggest influence was my father, I'd like to say. My father, I went to work. I mean, I was a daddy's girl in every sense. Yeah,
now,
my parents.
Were you only child? Or?
No, I'm the middle of 5.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So 5 of you. Okay.
I'm the middle of 5, and my parents divorced when I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade for a very good reason. But I'm glad they're divorced. I mean, some people are not meant to be together.
Right.
And my parents made a good decision. Yes.
Okay.
But I spent a lot of time from preschool all the way up until high school, riding the train to go be at work with my dad. I probably went to every daddy-daughter work day. And I just realized my dad is just, they called him Cap at work, like Captain.
What did your dad do, if you don't mind?
So my father I'm his oldest child, but he was he retired from the Air Force before I was born, so I never got any of that. But he ended up working for the state of Illinois. He worked at the vet center for quite a bit of time. And then he worked for the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So it's the unemployment office in its right.
Okay.
But he helped to develop this program that the Illinois still uses today, the Illinois Skills Match, where it matches. You can put in your skill set and then learn how different jobs that might match you up to. He was just my father was a straight pioneer, a straight lion, and he had a presence. He was very warm. He always made me feel like I was something. Do you know what I mean?
And that's so important.
I know,
man. Growing up,
he always made me feel like I was something. So he always made me feel like I was something special. So I just value what he brought to the table. My mom worked for Ford Motor Company, and I always felt like an assembly line, she always made sure she did our best for us. Even when we were homeless at one point, but my mom we always had food. We always had something to put on our back. She always made a way. Like, her resilience, I think, is something that influenced me.
So you definitely got that strength from your mom.
I like to think so. Yeah. She's an amazing person. And
are your parents okay?
So my father is deceased. Okay. But my mother, I was just on the phone with my mom before we were.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Yeah.
And
she is my rock. She is my rock.
Okay. And so your mother is where's your mother live?
My mother lives in Indiana.
Oh, okay. She lives in Indiana. Oh.
So she moved. My mother is remarried and moved to Indiana with her husband. But yeah, so she lives in Maryville, Indiana, which is about 15 minutes or so.
You and your mom
Chicago.
close?
We are close now. When I left for the Navy, I said, I'm never talking to that woman again. I can't stand her. But she's amazing.
But you guys are okay.
She's amazing. Yeah. But I think those are my greatest influence. And then one teacher that has stood out to me.
And that was I was going to ask
my
you
whole
what about
life.
In school.
There's this one. Actually, there's two. This one, her name was Mrs. Bell.
Now, what grade?
And she was my third grade teacher.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, she was my third grade teacher. And she she gave me my first C in conduct. Like, I was a studious kid. Like, straight A, I did not play when it came to
okay. So you felt some type of way, I'm sure, when you got that C.
So bent out of shape. Do you hear me? So bent out of shape. And I remember we were doing those standardized tests like the kids do SOLs now. Mm-hmm. And I wrote my middle initial was Hope on my paper. And I wrote H, and she pulled me up here and she's like, Jackie, get over here. What's that H stand for?
And you even did the accent.
Yes. What's that H stand for? I said, okay. Hope, Miss Bell. And she said, I hope you stop talking to my class. You got a good, powerful voice, but you just need to know when to use it.
Oh.
And she was hard. She was so hard on me. And she passed long after I moved from the school and I went back to her funeral. I feel like there were so many little things that she taught me that the life is not sugar plums and rainbows. And like, you have to be accountable for what you do. It doesn't matter how good of a person you think you are, how good, you think you're doing, that there's always room for improvement. When you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. Like, she did not play with me. She did not play. And I just never forget her presence.
Wow.
She didn't play with me.
She definitely made an impact on your life.
She did. About just, it's good to be a good person, but it's also good to be able to see yourself. Because if you can't see yourself, you can't fix yourself. You can never fix something. That. Yep. She just, I don't know why she was.
I like that.
She's so hard on me, but I love her. I love her. So I'm always, self-assessment is important.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Now, you said two people.
So, and then there was my first grade teacher, Miss Grimallo, who...
Wow, that's the first grade.
Yes.
Wow.
My father traveled a lot when I was a kid, and when I was in first grade, my parents were going through rough patches, and I think it was wearing on me at school. And she was very attentive to that, and I know she would sometimes pull me out of class, and I just don't know how she knew when I had a rough night. She would pull me out and let me sit in the supply closet and do my work.
Really?
Yes. So just her attentiveness, like, I'm sure she did not know everything that was going on in my house. Like, she didn't, because there was a lot. But how did she know? And I always think of, like, how did she know?
Wow.
How did she know to pluck me from the classroom? Mm-hmm. How did she know to say this child needs, how did she know?
Time.
And she didn't have children because her husband, he was a firefighter and died in a fire, fighting fire. And I just remember she was left-handed, and she would always talk about, there were so many little things about her that the things that she did for me, made me pay attention to who she was. So I just can't forget her. Mm-hmm. So it's like...
Now, did you ever go back and see her?
I want to find her, Miss Grimallo. I would love to find her. Like, she was everything. I don't know how she knew.
She would probably feel so special and appreciated just to know that after all these years, you still remember her.
Yes, and her and her curly hair.
The first grade.
She was
I can't even tell you what my teacher's name was. First grade.
My mom still knows. My mom, those two teachers, my mother still knows those teachers. And we talk about them. Yes. She's a mate. Those two, look.
Those were your favorite teachers, and those definitely had an impact on your life.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask a question from one of my coworkers.
Okay.
She wanted to know, what are the biggest problems you see in the Norfolk public school system? And what changes are you hoping to make?
Okay. So specifically, I'm going to speak to the ward that I'm in. Okay. So one of the major concerns that I have is the infrastructure of the schools for in Norfolk. And that is being addressed. The board right now is doing the very best that they can to address those sorts of things. We need $1 billion to fix. Wow. I mean, we need lots of money to fix the schools. Right now you've got, roofs that are just, every school in our ward, for the most part, there's a couple that are past their life expectancy. So that's like an issue. That's like a health hazard. That's this contextual side of learning that we don't necessarily think about when the kids are showing up to a school where, there's leaking, there's things like that. That breaks my heart, and I know that's a huge undertaking. But I'm interested to see, because I can't say what I can personally do, but I can say that I am so excited about working with the city council, because they're the appropriating body for the money that goes into the school system, and working with my fellow board members and the school's leadership to making steps to right these wrongs that have been going on for so long. Because there's no, we don't have $1 billion.
No, we don't.
You know, we don't even have what was it? I read a number today, 1,167 million needed for like repairs or something like that.
Oh,
something like that. I don't know if that's
really?
exact. Yeah. These are things, right? But I'm gonna just go back to what I truly stand for, what I think that it's gonna be a game changer in our classrooms. Our teachers, our children bring their own set of traumas to the classroom, and they are bringing those traumas to a teacher who's being expected to be a counselor and all these many other things, right? So when I talked earlier about bringing these community-based organizations into school, it's to help with making sure that we have little citizens that are coming into the classroom ready to be scholars, right? Teachers know that most folks that get in this business know they're not making a lot of money. So why do they do it? They do it because they care about the kids. They do it because they want to make a difference. And when you're in a position where a classroom is so disruptive or so disjointed that you can't even teach, you can't even feed these minds, that causes a wear and tear of you and makes you want to walk away. So I just think that, I know that there are some real opportunities for the community to show up and to relieve some of that pressure on the teachers with these children. Specifically, I'm going to say, I was at a school the other day and I saw a bunch of 5 kids pass through within a little time that I was in the office that were disruptive. It was wild. And then you have these women in the office that are just doing the best that they can to make sure that these kids aren't disrupting, but they're office workers, they're office managers. The janitor was even getting in to try to help the kids.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying we need, in the school in particular that I'm talking about, we need our Black men to show up and be a presence to some of these young men, because that's who they need to hear these things from. And I know that there are churches and there are community organizations that would be willing to come and show up to a school for maybe even an hour a day just to be a presence for those kids. You know what I mean? Pull them if we have to, because they're disruptive anyway. Right. They're sitting in the office, and now they're in the office disrupting. And they're coming, it's because there aren't enough touchstones in that child's life to calm them down. I sat with a little boy and was like, we're going to count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We did it 3 times before he put a smile on his face. 3 times we had to do it. So that's 30 seconds plus. And I said, well, are we ready to talk about what the real issue is here? Imagine if a teacher had that at their fingertips, what they would be able to do in a classroom. That's an issue. That's a large portion, because the kids can't learn, which means they can't get what they need, for whether it's for the testing purposes or it's just for knowledge person, because we can get into the standardized testing and all that. But if they're not ready to learn, and they don't have the tools and the resources to learn, then what are we talking about here? We're talking about a teacher managing recess in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? So what does that do? So I feel like that is the biggest thing to me that I know we can do something about as a community. I know it. Between churches and you and me, people like us, we can make a difference.
Yes, we can.
What school is in your neighborhood? Start a homework house, and we're working on that too. About starting homework houses in different communities, trying to get them at barbershops, get them at churches, show up in a meaningful, meet people where they're at and make a difference, because that difference is going to start, it's going to carry over to where they're citizens. I keep talking about 2 faces. They're citizens and they're scholars. They show up to school scholars. And when they leave that school, now they're citizens of the community. And we got to be able to
explain the difference between a citizen and a scholar.
So it's one person, right? It's one child. When that child walks into the doors of that school, they are now a scholar. They are a person. I took it from my daughter's teacher. She said, I want to call them students because a scholar is a more proactive thing.